Hello, everybody. This is my attempt to showcase how Donald Trump and his thought mechanisms really work. So, first of all, I would like to underline his faith. He seems to be on the same line as I am in terms of basing his objective reality in the teachings of the Bible, and for him, faith, and I mean faith as in ultimate trust in God. I don't mean as a faith system. I mean faith as in if, for example, a man would want to walk over a bridge that would be made of rotten logs, he would have the faith to cross the bridge because of God's grace would protect him, so he wouldn't be scared. I mean faith in that sense. So when you look at Donald Trump, his faith in God is his mechanism for political pursuits. For instance, when he sent out the Twitter message, the famous nuclear button message to the leader of the North Korea, it was his faith in God that made him do that, in the sense of he merely speaks what is in his mind because he has faith in God that everything will be all right. That's his mechanism, and he has Ayn Rand's philosophy to back this up, because there's because Ayn Rand, basically her philosophy aims for the happiness of the individual, and Donald Trump derives that happiness out of his faith in God and in the literal perception of the Bible. And this is sort of postmodernism driven by the teachings of Jesus. It's capitalist version of postmodernism, this Rand, because when the individual is happy, aims for happiness through Rand, Trump aims for happiness through faith in God, and Rand has placed happiness as the most important objective indicator in her philosophy. So Trump is happy when he has faith in God, thus Rand's philosophy works for him completely. And there's also the virtue of selfishness idea, that the individual can be as selfish as one wants to justify one's happiness. So that gives Trump the perfect philosophic mindset to be as selfish as he wants, but then there's the fact that he follows the teachings of the Bible and Jesus, so his selfishness becomes a desire to do good for others, as Jesus as Jesus taught. So it's very, very deep. Basically, the Randian notion of the virtue of selfishness is just a mechanism for him to do good. And the problem here is that when I see many people being against Trump, the problem here is that if you can completely defeat Trump, you would have to show that his faith in God is somehow not true, because it's his objective perception of the reality, as it's also mine. I know that God exists, and Trump doesn't know that God exists also. So there's no way of fighting against him other than just showing that he is wrong. But if the God he believes in is real, which I know it to be, which I personally know that God is real, so it's impossible to sort of defeat him. You would just have to show that he is wrong. That's the only way. And you have to understand that the Bible also said that all authority, all governmental authority is given by God. So Trump is a servant of the God who helps the image of the God. And many other politicians are as such as well. That's about all. Just a quick add up to the video. You should read Thomas Aquinas, especially read about the aspects of angels and fallen angels in the context of Trump, because that might guide you towards the argumentative aspects that could be vital in arguing against him, because like I said in the earlier segment of this video, it's impossible to fight against him if he is correct, if he works under God. It's impossible to fight against him. Only way to fight against him would be with love and agreement on his perception of the reality. But if you can find something that is wrong about him through Aquinas, for example, because Aquinas is the original theologian who talked about angels, the servants of God, and their relation. And it should be noted that these implications made by Aquinas apply heavily on Asperger people and psychopath people. For instance, in my case, I have always had this sort of an emptiness feeling inside of me. It's very hard to describe, but I would describe it as an self-awareness that has existed since my childhood years. What I've understood about the human mind is that human beings develop this sort of self-awareness when they fully mature, but I feel as though I have had this complete maturation of self-awareness since like 10 years old, which made me feel like an outcast in a sense. And there's also this sort of feeling of myself as an empty husk, or as an vessel, or as an objectively free indicator. For instance, while I speak now, I'm already aware of what I'm gonna speak. Like, I'm fully thinking that I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say that, and it's like a mimicry of existence in a sense, and that made me understand what I really was, a servant of the God. And it's mimicry in the sense that when I laugh, I already know that I'm gonna laugh, so it's a kind of a facade in a sense. And I see this kind of pattern in artists, in politicians, in CEOs. These are all professions in which there is a heavy advantage when one is an Asperger person or a psychopath. So that's just some food for thought. I might make another video considering this, because I have some fascinating ideas circulating around this, but I've been focusing a lot on the biblical side of things because that's how I roll. So that's about all. See you.